Hello and welcome to the Ladies of Lore. I am your Dungeon Master Kayla, and I am just going to introduce a few of my most beloved friends and adventurers. Say hello, beloved friends and adventurers.
Hi,
Hello.
beloved
Hello,
friends and
beloved friends and
adventurers.
adventurers.
So, we thank you all for being here with us in this endeavor and for joining us for our story of Fate and Fables. We are a D&D 5e actual playcast where our adventurers are exploring a homebrewed version of life after death as they trek through the nine hells. So it will be a little bit of a wild ride. I am going to throw it over to Emily for our recap, just so we can get you guys a little caught up with where we were the last leg of the story.
All right, so last week we started out with Marisol, who was moving through the Forgotten Woods. She encountered a dog-like creature and defeats it. We see a beacon of light in the distance. Moving towards it, she comes across a humanoid sitting in a small clearing, which we later figure out is Kit. She is a porcelain doll that's run down and creepy. Um, Kit hears a recording in her voice in their head telling them to lead the lost souls. Marisol is wary of Kit, but they become friendly with each other. There is miscommunication that happens, and Kit gets argumentative and takes stress points. Marisol mentions looking for a kingdom. We then see Dahlia treading water in the River of Styx and hears screaming in the distance. She's chained to the hip by. How do I pronounce your character name?
Manya.
Manya, who is standing on the bank of the river. Manya looks towards her companion, Sentina, who is free from the chain. Manya decides to grab Dahlia's hand and roughly pull her out of the river. Sentina tells Manya she tells her off for choosing to help Dahlia and leaves them both behind. Manya telepathically talks to Sentina as she is running away while a beast chases Sentina. Dahlia gets up out of the river. She has hazy memories of before the river. Uh, Manya is voiceless and just gestures to Dahlia, and then decides to telepathically speak to her, with the condition that Dahlia keep the telepathic a secret. And then Manya leads Dahlia towards. Lova wakes up in a clearing of inside the Forgotten Woods, laying beside Umbriel. She remembers a battle that she was in before she died. She checks her wounds, but instead of being fresh, the wounds appear healed and scarred. Umbriel is laying with her eyes open but is unresponsive. Lover tries to wake her by mildly slapping her cheek. This causes horrid flashbacks of Umbriel being hit by her lover. She goes through a loop of flashbacks. Lova notices Umbriel has scars covering her arms, some self inflicted. Umbriel wakes, they converse. Lova hears the sound of a music box in the distance. They hear the sound of Marisol and Kit in the forest and decide to go investigate. Lova readies for a fight with her sword, tries to give Umbriel a mace, but Umbriel's too weak to wield it, so Lova breaks off the top of the mace and makes it into a stick for her to wield. Kit tries to convince Marisol to leave the forest and go towards the light. They talk about a king who owns the land that Marisol reports to, but Kit is referring to a different person. Marisol and Kit's miscommunication continues. This sends Kit into a stressful shutdown. She powers down and her blue light goes out and she becomes limp on the ground. Kit wakes soon after. Lova and Umbriel enter the area. Lova charges in with her weapon drawn. Marisol stands off with her bow. They stop face to face, confused and recognizing each other's insignias of the lands that they come from. Marisol is more ancient. Yeah, more ancient than Lova, from a city in the Shadowfell. Marisol is confused at Lova's insignia because it looks like one she recognizes, but it is a bit different. She thinks it's from a city in her homeland that her homeland was in alliance with. Lova tells her what place it represents, and Marisol doesn't know the city. Kit and Umbriel make introductions with everyone. They discuss whether or not to leave the forest. Kit hears the voice again telling her it's her duty to lead the souls out of the forest. They see two figures pass through the light and vanish, seemingly going through a portal of light, which could be Dahlia and Manya. When looking at the light, everyone sees a different version of a backlit image, which is what they desire the most. They eventually agree to enter the light. Lova has a vision of her death, being stabbed in battle by a person they were emotionally close to. Marisol sees a vision of her death too. She was fighting a group of cultists who wore black robes and red sashes. One has a silver jester tragedy mask whose eyes holes zoom into Inspector. She was shot with 3 arrows. I'm so sorry, this is so long.
You're good. It's a full comprehensive recap.
It's almost done. Dahlia and Manya walk up to a gate with a sun and a moon symbol on either side of a triangle with a symbol of swirling mist inside. Dahlia recognizes this as her goddess's symbol. She clutches the symbol that she wears in a chain around her neck. Dahlia gets clarity that if she enters the gate, she's accepting her fate of having died and is now in limbo. She has a memory resurface and sees a vision of a time she was chained to someone before and facing a figure with a silver tragedy mask. Manya leads her through the gate into the carnival. As they walk through, Dahlia notices strange carnival acts that are horrifying. Um, Manya is angry and worried that Centania abandoned her. She mentions that she has a show to perform and Santina is needed for it, and she will get in trouble if she shows up to the performance without her. She grabs Dahlia's chin to get her to look at her and, communicates this in her head again. Manya turns Dahlia's head to look at a large clock tower where the numbers should be. It says now. Manya leads Dahlia to the largest tent and they go in the back way. The other group enters the carnival. They go into the portal together, but Marisol, who hasn't accepted her death, is separated from the group. Marisol is in the audience area of the large tent. She sees a man with a huge gunshot hole in his chest. When he asks her what's going on, Marisol accepts that she's dead after seeing more people with lethal wounds. She is surrounded by people in well dressed clothes who are in attendance to see the show. As she looks into the ring, she sees a large cage with a dog like monster that is made of a ton of corpses squished together. There we go.
Hell yeah. So we are going to pick kind of right back up in the throes of it. We will start first from the side of the show tent, a different perspective, looking in on the same scene. We start with Dahlia and Manya standing side by side um, on the outskirts of this performance area, an almost sunken part of where this tent is, which theoretically speaking shouldn't be possible because it is flat ground, but you see this kind of weird subspace that sits below, like almost where an orchestra would be sitting in the pit of a show. And you are led there by Manya. You see there's a series of instruments here, some of them very regular, normal, some of them very odd, strange, some of them from geographical locations that you have never seen before. So it looks like something you would be somewhat familiar with, but like don't know the name of some ancient instruments. A weird variety of different stuff here. And as you kind of zoom in on the scene breaking through the tent and seeing all of these people at this like ground level spectrum, you get to see a whole crowd surrounding this circular tent size, big red walls that kind of line the background. Would the both of you roll me a perception check?
Mine's a 29.
Insane. Holy shit. Insane. Well, you'll pass for sure, but for benefit of the doubt, Dahlia,
13.
a 13. Okay. How will we do this? With the 13, Dahlia, all you can seem to focus on as you kind of scoot into this space with all of these people, you are fresh here, and it seems like Manya has a little bit of an idea of where she's going, so you're kind of just following and following lead. That being said, you are overtaken by the amount of gigantic timpanis that are here, insane, like super long alto saxes. There's all sorts of orchestral instruments, but a lot of them are made of like spines and organ material, and so it's very off-putting. And as you're like walking through, there's like absolutely a xylophone properly laid out with different sized rib bones from both beasts and humans, it looks like, mixed in together to make sure that there's the perfect pitches in between. It is overwhelming to the senses as you walk in. You immediately start to scan the crowd and see that there are people here that are wearing face masks somewhat similar to face masks that you feel like you have seen in the past. Manya, with a 29, you lock eyes with Marisol in the crowd, and you have a recognition of something that jostles a memory in you of when you first arrived here. It is the look of somebody who begrudgingly accepted their fate, um, but more so, a little bit of, I wouldn't call it fear because it's not painted as fear, but definitely panic. The look of someone trying to figure out a way to slip into the shadows. And just seeing them kind of struggle amongst the masses here, um, like looking around, taking in the surroundings. You also see at the front most part of the tent, in the orchestral section, there is, first you see just the stiletto heel kind of up on one of the amplifiers, this red bottomed kind of stiletto boot that pulls up all the way knee high into these almost sheer fishnet type stockings. They cut off into little tiny booty shorts, and wearing this almost like ringleader kind of getty up. You see the split lip color, red and black lipstick, really pointed features, really cutting green eyes, beautiful hair, um, about mid back, I'd say, that is tied into two braids that are now down to the side. Um, Incredibly lithe, incredibly attractive, incredibly terrifying as you know her. This is Verena. You see, she walks over to someone. She's in the middle of a conversation. She grabs them by their face and pushes them backwards while they're talking to her, like, get the fuck away from me. Um, as she does so, you see she points over in the direction of all of the performers and she's like, everybody get ready. And you have your option to sit wherever you would like and grab whatever instrument you would like. I would say with how high your perception is, you kind of know where everything's at.
Okay. Um, and then I know what I as a player knows, but like as a character, would I know to give a warning about her?
Uh, it depends on how nice you're feeling, I guess I would put it out there. You have seen this woman grab somebody by the jaw, kiss them on the mouth, and then bite their lip off and spit it at their face. Like, you've seen this woman be incredibly cruel. And that's like the light version of her.
I dig it.
Um, oh yeah, she's badass.
Yeah, she's hot.
She's deadly hot.
Okay. I will speak to Dahlia telepathically. So you're attached to me, and I'm assuming that you're attached to me because you're probably going to be a performer. I'm not sure. Can you play an instrument?
No, I've never played an instrument.
Can you dance?
No,
Do you sing?
no,
Are you at least funny?
I think so.
Great. Okay. So I guess maybe just stay quiet. Uh we will have to eventually come up with like a secret code or something that like makes sense as to how we're communicating together. Um Also, the hot girl with the red hair, avoid her. She'll talk to you. Talk back. Don't get close.
Okay,
Um
got it.
Also don't make her mad though. You know,
Okay.
princess has got a temper. Um and then I will probably grab a lyre and sit where I'm usually supposed to sit, and I guess Dahlia's gonna come with me.
Hmm. So chained together at the hip. You see multiple people here are tethered together. It seems as almost everybody here who is a worker has a buddy. Especially during performances, you see people who are locked together are functioning together as if this is something that they have done 1,000 times before. You grab your lyre, you sit down in your seat. There's these plushy. They look like almost like dinner table chairs, but they do have that almost regal.
Your mic isn't picking up.
From Discord.
Mm-mm.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, internet is being a little wonky. I think we're about to get a storm.
Um,
Yeah. That being said, you sit down and roll me a survival check
Me?
or a performance check, the both of you, to make it look like you are exactly where you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to do.
Okay, I'm gonna go performance.
Okay.
Um, that's a 23 for me.
Okay. Badass.
I'll do survival, and it's a 17.
Amazing. I rolled like shit. I rolled a 6, so this works out well for you.
Hell yeah. Let's go, dream team.
You see, Verena, this is her area of expertise. You see her kind of look over everybody. She makes eye contact with your area, narrows her eyes for a minute, and then quickly reverts back to what she was doing, almost as if she couldn't be bothered. She grabs two big performance fans from the side of the stage and kind of does this big stretch that elongates her entire form. You see now this girl is stacked. She is the epitome of like a Maxim model. She's got curves in all of the right places. She is almost hauntingly beautiful. Like her eyes do that thing where when she looks at you, it's that piercing look that feels like they're just totally either reading you for filth or digesting who you are and scaling you down. She has these cute little tiger ears that pop up off the top of her head. Forgot, thank you. That's an important part. And she is in the process of kind of waving these fans out. They almost look like silks, and there are daggers on the ends of everywhere where there is the boning for the fan. She walks very confidently up a flight of steps out from the musician's pit. You guys see a skeletal figure ripped of skin from their face on these kind of burning coals, who stands up as the maestro who is about to orchestrate this. And you guys are told with music in front of you to kind of prep. You see him tap his like long skeletal finger on the end of his podium, and he's about to strike up the band. With your role, I would say that you are successful in starting in. With your survival role, Dahlia, you just kind of sit there and make it look like you're playing, outwardly not playing.
I would like to think that I gave her like a little hand drum and told her just to very lightly tap. Don't
Yep,
make any noise.
yep.
I love that.
Verena walks out very confidently onto the stage, these long strides, her legs kind of carrying her along the circle. She spins out these fans that drag these silks behind her. There is that gnashing beast monster in the center, standing there with the ringleader, who is still currently shroud in shadow. Marisol, as you see all of this, you can see now there's a big performance that is starting to unwind. Roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Cool. So good at those. Oh, I'm not bad at those. Hey, 17 on the dice, 19.
19 is good. 19 is good enough to not get lost and absolutely zoned in. You now see there are the souls that are all around you are almost sucked in to this performance. They are just all like almost zombified, staring now at this show as it's unfolding. We're going to jump quickly to the front of the tent. You can see Marisol, Lova, and Kit all currently walking alongside, looking at all of these different kind of attractions that are coming up on the side. There are a series in the distance of small kind of caravan type carts that look like covered wagon type carts that are all red and lit up kind of with candles and like little tiny low tea lights around the ground and stuff. A small pathway that leads there. Kit, you would know that these are the resident areas for the performers. Um, this is essentially the small area in town, little hovels that these people are allowed to live in. The performers are all given almost like their own stage cart, or trailer for like those movie star styles, but make it medieval. And there is a series of just like small eating areas, picnic tables and stuff like that on the outdoor side here. As you continue in, you do see a lot of the same attractions that Dahlia had been cognizant of before. There is in the far off distance a high wire where there are people doing trapeze style acts. There is a huge drum circle where there are people dancing. There's a freak show that's kind of hidden in the back with big signs and neon bulbs. There is all an assortment of people sitting at big tables eating food, and as you zoom in on them, they're just grotesque, just stuffing their faces full of food and like never ending eating. You guys make your way kind of through this, and you know that all of the souls are supposed to go through the show. So that way they can make the decision, a forced decision, to stay or go.
I've never been through this before, though, right?
No, you have only ever stood up at the castle trying to kind of keep an eye on things. You had your one little corridor that was your responsibility, and it felt like a big one at the time until you realized just how small a responsibility it was.
I think that makes Kit a little bit mad. She's
Fair.
feeling a little like that's all they gave me when there's all of this, and but she's also very clearly entranced by this whole thing. Like, she is a kid at a circus. She's like looking at everything like, oh, that's amazing, and like pulling you along, trying to just see all that she can see and like marvel at everything that she goes by.
So you also have, Azeroth's words ringing in your mind to not interact down here, to not ever get involved down here. So there are pieces of you that you are holding on to that know that these are ill-advised events, that these are things you shouldn't be involved in.
I'm not involved. I'm just looking.
um, you have an opportunity here to try to skip the show if you would need to. But you could go and see the show if you had wanted to. I would also say, if you choose to skip the show, which you're more than welcome to do, if you choose to skip the show, there's other things that are going on outside of the tent that might warrant exploration. So it's not like you're stuck to going, but if you want to go to the show, you are more than invited to. You can hear there's commotion music and things like that striking up.
What else is outside, like things that I could kind of get an
all,
idea of?
all of those attractions that are going on. If you're on I'm a kid in a candy store and I have to go to the carnival, you're welcome to go on a wild goose chase through the carnival if that's what you're trying to do. But there's consequences to that in its own right. So
Do you want to see the show or do you want to see everything else? This is amazing.
Umbriel, that's gonna be you.
I don't know. It's not quite as sounds fun, no. Yeah, they will go see.
I'm so
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Cruz.
But
Like we can hear you, but
Can you
just
hear me?
not well.
Yeah.
Okay. I think going to the show would be fun.
Show.
Okay. I've never seen the show before. I could go and see the show. We could go and see it if that's what you want. But there's also, do you see? There's even more over there, and she's probably pointing to like the grossest shit you've ever seen in your entire life.
Absolutely. It's I think currently like the feast table that is right outside of the tent that's supposed to be the like come on in and eat this forever kind of thing. That's probably the grossest area because it is all wonderful, beautiful, laid out, perfect fineries. But the people there are just like eating mashed potatoes by the fistful. They're like dropping shit down their fronts. They're like eating so much that they're like their faces are in pain and they're like contorted. So
They do that.
so if you guys decide to go to the show, I think that Lova also would be like, I don't want to go over there. To all of that.
We're going to the family. Yep.
Yeah. So they start to walk in towards I guess towards where they see the music kind of coming out from. And kind of push past you guys that way. Roll me a wisdom saving throw as you both enter the tent as well.
Wait. Max 24, 26.
Whoa.
You got a 6.
Nice. Perfect. Almost the way it should go. Let me roll for Lova just so I know. Oh, Lova also got a 6. All right, so as you walk into the tent, the sound of the music begins to captivate you. There's almost this weird haunting beauty music box sound to it. This bing, 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 bing. Small circus kind of cadence. But as if it was being played by a series of tiny instruments. It's very ethereal, and you kind of get sucked into this woman who's walking around with these colorful trails behind her of reds and oranges, these kind of fan silks behind her. She stands in the center and begins to spin them individually between her fingers. The silks kind of cascade through the air and make this almost butterfly like effect, and you are enraptured by it. You and Lova begin to press deeper and deeper into the crowd. Umbriel, you resist this draw and can kind of see this for what this is. There is a ringleader who is currently kind of obscured in the center of this ring, who is standing on an almost like plinth-like podium. There's this big gnashing dog behind a curtain, and you can see there's like the backbone of it is just a rib cage, and pieces of people. You can see like anywhere where there's like cruxes on the back of this animal. It's like a skull, the lump of an arm, all sorts of stuff kind of melded together to make this fleshy looking dog beast that's hidden behind the curtain. You can see this very minxy, almost entrancing woman guiding herself around this area, and you watch as all of the people here, not all of them, but a great deal of them lean into this and begin to kind of really watch the show. You're not one of them, and as you kind of take a look around the crowd very quickly, roll me a perception check.
Okay. 15.
15. Okay.
Yep.
I would say you see Marisol in the crowd. It is tight, but you can see her. She is currently kind of sardined in with about 6 or 7 different people on either side of her in a higher up part of the stands. You guys, if this was a 2-tiered type stadium kind of event, you guys would be on the lower floor in the center. She would kind of be up in the nosebleeds in the second floor.
Okay. I would try to get the attention of the others with me and try to point them. Okay, this Mary, if we just let it roll. So I have a bigger group.
Oh, I'm sorry. Your mic is cutting out.
Okay. So like that point Marisol out to you with Sue that are with me.
Okay.
And like hey guys, isn't that Marisol? Like we just like why don't we go over there and inspire since we're not friends?
You attempt to shake them out of this trance, and they can't pull away from it. You are stuck in this moment where you're like, hey guys, look. And your words are kind of falling on deaf ears. You can see Marisol rotating in the crowd, not locked in on this performance quite like them, though obvious to pay attention to it when it's going on, but not
Mhm.
stuck like the others. Uh, it is in this moment that you realize that they are either charmed in some sort of way or they are in some sort of unbreakable trance.
Mm, to do what to do. Right. Okay, is it Marisol? Doesn't seem to be trans.
I'm sorry?
Is that Marisol seems to not be trans?
Yeah, Marisol is not in a trance.
Okay.
She's saved from it.
Can I be like waving my arms, like trying to like, get her attention to come over here?
What is your passive?
My passive?
What is
No,
Marisol's
it'd be
passive?
mine. Passive perception is 16, so
Okay.
Marisol would have saw him.
Okay. You do see there's a little bit of stirring in the crowd, but not too much as people are locked in on this. And then you can see kind of off in this distance, down very close to the stage. You see kind of the arms waving in the air of Umbriel.
There's not really a good way to get through the crowd, right?
No.
We're all packed like
Packed
sardines.
in here.
Let's see.
Kit, can I also ask you real quick to roll a perception check for me?
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, it's a nat 20.
Fuck yeah. You see up in the toppesty, tippitiest top part of the rafters, even though you are enraptured by all of this, you see the all familiar silhouette of a friend turned foul up working in the like lights department-y portion of this,
Oh.
doing the tech.
Can I does that snap her out of it?
I'll say because of the nat 20, I let you have it, but it wouldn't snap her out of it. She's locked in. She's under the charm of the tent.
She's just that is an intense one that she wants to get away from.
Uh-huh.
So if she can't get away from the tent because she's charmed, right?
Yeah, she's currently, what I would consider locked in. You guys are basically dealing with a petrification kind of circumstance right now.
Okay. Yeah, not much we can do about that one.
But just wanted to put it to your attention that you being here, seeing the scene, being like, oh, family, this is all the family. And then kind of jolting your eyes up, watching all of this happen, seeing it and being like, oh, I'm in the middle of it.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Can I do like a stealth check to try and at least stay out of his sight?
You would have if you would have succeeded that wisdom save and were acting of free will.
Fair enough.
Oh boy.
Okay. So, Marisol, jumping to you. In the midst of all of this, you see the beginning of the top of the tent have this almost weird glass-like shimmer to it.
Okay.
Before ropes begin to kind of suspend with this cutout of a sun and a moon intertwining. This swirl of magic kind of behind it, almost like a galaxy of stars. Um, and a woman sitting along the bar, incredibly ethereal. I will, babe, I'll throw this to you just because this is your character of choice, your heart character of choice. What would Aerith be wearing to this kind of event, do you think?
Um, she is probably wearing a like black like V neck, like low V um dress with two very long slits on the sides. Um, and then probably just her signature like rabbit shawl.
Beautiful.
Her horns will be decorated as well.
You see almost in like a black kind of cocktail, real tight to the figure. Long elven ears, um, these beautiful horns, one of them showing slightly less length than the other, but gilded at the top, these almost golded, gilded caps, with little kind of ribbons and chains that hang off of them, with like the little medallions that you would see on, say, like a belly dancer type garb, that kind of hang off and dangle to the side. She's wearing very natural makeup. She is got beautifully long white hair, um, kind of light pink, rosy lips. Um, her eyes are fully red now, correct? She's got this very piercing kind of red gaze, and she sits, kind of sitting on this bar like a trapeze artist, with the dress is long and kind of billows underneath her from this very Rococo style, uh, gilded looking sun and moon. Dahlia, please roll me a religion check with advantage.
Oh.
$17.
Fuck. It makes sense to you in this moment, looking at it from an underneath view. You can see your religious symbol, though your symbol, a crude version of this, but the parallels there are undeniable, unmistakable. This is the same exact, almost like seeing the Holy Grail version of your symbol. It is perfect. The way that the swirl lines behind her, the way that there's kind of this almost double triangular type shape between the way that the sun and the moon are kind of angled on one another's side. It is spot on. And I think you have a big moment of clarity that this is somebody to be revered for you.
I sell cabbages. Just gifted 5 subs to the community. Talk about being freaking revered.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shout out.
A shout out.
Don't type it in the chat, I swear.
We're having a great stream now. Holy moly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, as I'm looking up and watching the show and taking this all in, and I see that, and I see the symbol and everything, I'm gonna clutch my holy symbol and just try to watch really intently all her movements and everything.
Wonderful. Um, you watch as she stretches her arms behind her, in this almost like big arch. And as she does, she kind of does this big, long opening. And her voice picks up around the entirety, over the music, over all of it. And it says, "Welcome. Welcome to our show." You can see now the lights kind of almost spotlight off of her and directly beam down like almost a moonbeam, kind of lighting the floor to the inner center stage, to a gentleman, long, lean, and cocky from the moment that the light begins to shine on him. Um, Kind of a chiseled jawline, two little tiger ears, one arm that is completely covered in shadow, um, that comes out into this like almost clawed-like hand. Uh, he is wearing no shirt currently, um, a pair of kind of like harem pants a little bit that gather at the ankle, that have the kind of like a Black Parade themed style to them. Very MCR-y. He's got a big hat on, like a top hat on, that has cutouts for his ears. Um, and he is wearing an Alexander McQueen jawbone piece of jewelry. If you've never seen it, you should look it up because it is hot. It's basically a jawline that's just made out of metal that comes all the way across, that he is wearing on his jaw. It makes him look like he's got a skeletal kind of figure to the bottom of him, but he has flesh underneath. You can see it's jewelry, but he is very ostentatious. And as she says, "Welcome to the show," he does this big kind of bang of a chain onto the ground, and the curtain that was hiding the dog in full kind of drops to the floor, and you can see this huge beast made of pulp. It is disgusting. It is held together by sinew. It has these weird, stringent muscles that are like stretched in weird diagonals across it. It looks like somebody had done a paper mache and dyed it all like food coloring red. It is just made of meat. You can see there's bones that are protruding out of it unnaturally. Uh, as he drops the curtain, you see a smaller one kind of cascade out from the side of him and run around the opposite end. Much smaller than the first one that is revealed, almost like maybe a child of this animal. And he does this big kind of welcome and spreads his arms across. The area behind you that is tent all flares with like fire. The entire thing turns into a huge ring of fire. And you can feel the heat. It is not just fabric anymore. You can feel like you are trapped in a flaming sphere, basically. Though this happens, these people still do not break from their trance. Everyone is still stuck, like cemented in.
Are they like burning?
No,
The ones on the edge?
It's just you can feel the heat coming off of it, like it's just properly hot. But no one seems to be catching on fire or anything like that. It's just a fiery sphere around them. They extend their hand to their throat and says, "So I presume you all know why you're here, right? Right? Everybody? No?" And he begins to laugh. The dancer in the front who had the fans, priorly known as Verena, continues to make her circle around. As he begins to talk, you see that she looks over at him with disdain. She doesn't hide it. She is not one of those people that is shy about it. He begins to talk. She immediately just shit faced and like looks behind her and is like, okay. As she continues to walk, she does flip her fans. As the fan completes the rotation, it snaps entirely closed. She flicks her wrist and it turns into a big long whip. They begin to do a show together, the two of them, while he is talking. She looks absolutely unenthused. He is having the time of his life. He is smiling. He's like, "Me, look at me." They continue to proceed on and tell you, "Well, I presume you all know why you're here, and if you're not, well, my wife will make it clear for you." And across the topmost part of it, you see Aerith looks down at everyone here and says, "Well, you all died. And now you have a choice. You can either stay here and be part of this, part of the show, Work for us. It's your best option, I assure you of that. We wanted to make this as easy as possible for you. It's a tough time. But as it is, you can either deal with this or you can have worse. And she gives this like very small smile that turns into an almost malicious looking smirk. Um, as she does, you guys see a series of cages begin to descend from right next to where she is. She is kind of framing this section, and there are a bunch of bird cages that plop down next to her. Inside of the cages, there are all different types of people. We have this half orc looking gentleman. He has a slash that is cut from the top of his head straight down. It looks like he took some sort of heavy blow. He is in the firstmost cage. There is a tiefling woman with long hair, kind of curled ram horns, red skin in the secondary cage. There is someone on the farthest end that's almost separate from everybody else, that is hanging right above what looks like a hole in the crowd. Like the way that they had brought people in, there's almost like this secondary hole in the crowd that they are hanging above. And then there's one more cage on the side of them that is sitting directly above Verena and Reshi. So 4 cages in total. All of the people that are in the cages look conscious. So let's start there. She gestures over to one of the cages and says, "You are given a choice right now, and I want you to make that choice because it's your choice to choose. You can stay or you can go. There's advantages to both. I mean, you don't have to work every day, potentially if you leave. But who knows what's going to happen to you?" And you see as one of the cages kind of drops down in front of the audience so people can kind of get a good look at them. She says, "Now, those who do as they're told can live out the rest of existence doing just this and enjoying their time. But if you're not happy, if you so choose to leave once you've decided to stay, well, we have ways to deal with that." And you see as they are in the cage close to people, the bottom of the cage kind of begins to heat and totally incinerates the person immediately till they just turn into a big ash pile and fall between the bars onto the other people who are watching. So it's just like almost like an ash pile that's raining now on people. And she says, "You might think that's cruel, but I promise you, that is as swift and as sweet as we can do it here. Or we could deal with you in another way. We could send you along." And you see, would Manya, would you roll me a perception check?
Oh, yeah, that is 28.
God, why are you indomitable like that? That's
I don't
insane.
know.
So do you have expertise? Is that what it is?
Yes, I do.
Fuck. It's so strong.
I didn't have
It's so strong.
I didn't have any expertise last game, so I made sure I did this time.
Oh, okay. You can see without even straining your eyes from where your seat is in this pit, playing this song that you've played a gazillion times before. This is Santina, man. She got caught. Her dumb ass got caught. She is in a cage right now, and she's about to be fucking reckoned with. Do you do anything?
Well, I definitely send her a little telepathic message.
That's so mean, but go on.
Like, I tried to tell you that they were right behind you.
That's the last thing you're going to say to me. And then the message cuts off.
I mean, what do you want me to say to you? You want me to say I love you or something? Because it's not true.
You watch as Aerith continues with her monologue, losing yourself for this moment in the conversation in your head before you see Santina's eyes quickly flash with fear.
And I
And
will accidentally pluck a wrong string of my lyre.
woohoo, okay. The cadence kind of going for half a second as it is thrown slightly off with the weird pluck into the wrong tune. I say the look of fear. It is a look of fear and excitement. Santina has something wrong with her. This is something that you have observed time and time again. She has a little bit of a wild side to her, and she really, really enjoys the thrill of just the unknown. So scared and excited flashes across her face as she gets sent into the bottom of the cage opens up and she is sent ass over tea kettle into this roller coaster style cart and shunted out of the tent into this like on a loop de loop and off into the atmosphere. Um, she says, "You could get sent somewhere worse." She said, "Or you could get turned into one of our pets." And then the other two cages open up, and the one beast, quick, insanely quick, Marisol, it's almost heart palpitating in the moment because you know what's about to happen as the beast strikes. And it just snags the person in half of a second before the person even hits the ground. It double backs, throws them into the air, and does the double lunge on them, just quickly devouring them. Um, and
It
they
wouldn't help
are,
much just because I'm so trapped, but there's instantly 2 daggers in her hands, like one in each.
yep. And you see the smaller creature kind of bumbles over slow, like a baby, like it's just learning how to do its monsterly duties. And it encroaches on this person. You see the person backing up totally in fear towards this wall of people who are just stuck and not moving. And the beast kind of slowly creature kind of slowly creeps in and double downs on it, and then is brought back with the whip away from the other souls that are currently sitting on the outside of the tent from Verena, who is skating the outside. You see the Beastmaster in the center, um, kind of holding the chains and reeling them back in around his arm like they are a rope. Uh, Aerith
So
continues and says, "So, make 2 lines. I'll break this off of you, and you have your volition to go as you please. But no, if you choose to stay, you will be put to work. You will be part of a team, part of a family. And if you choose to go, well, then we wish you well on your next endeavors. No one's keeping you here. You can leave." Um, I would like everyone to roll me a perception check. For those who are entranced, can you please do so with disadvantage, please? Sorry, I should have said that sooner, but I just thought about it.
16.
What was that?
16.
16?
23.
Oh my god.
Meanwhile,
Marisol,
What was that? 21?
Mhm.
What was yours, Em?
9.
I got a 10.
Okay.
Marisol's also realizing that everything she's been killing for the past who knows how long have just been, at some point, people.
Mm.
Including probably that dog I killed in episode 1.
Hmm.
yep.
So,
Oh
you
well. Oops. Sorry. Just, brat summer.
you see anybody who got a 16 or higher, I will say, sees that there's a moment where she, Aerith, clears her throat and begins to kind of cough a little bit and looks a little, not long. It's just like a, and you see she kind of wobbles
Oh.
on the high wire. Uh, Anybody who got a 20 or higher would see that the Beastmaster in the center looks up very concerned and lets up on the chain in his hand.
It's all very Moulin Rouge of us.
So what will it be? She says, and you see both parts of the centermost part of the tent. The Beastmaster walks off to the one side. The performer with the fans walks off to the other side, and in the very most center, two columns kind of split in this tent in real time. And there is a one that's basically an escalator forward that continues through the tent, like through the crowd and through the tent, and one that continues straight down.
Um, I'll speak to Dahlia in her head and be like, I don't really want to make decisions for you, but I don't actually know if this one was meant for you since you're not in the stands. I don't want to say what you should do or what you shouldn't do. But also my best friend just left. So,
I mean, I am chained to you, so I feel like I'm stuck with you, both literally, and maybe figuratively. And I don't know, the goddess led me here, and there's so many signs of her, so I think I should stay.
okay. Yeah. Goddess, right. Okay. We're gonna be best friends, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, I don't think I have a choice either, though. So we're just here. We'll just stay quiet.
Oh, do you not follow the goddess?
No, I don't even know who the goddess is.
Lara, goddess of the mists, lady of liars.
Uh, you can roll me a religion check.
Okay. I'm not good at that one, so.
That's okay.
Except I got a natural 20. So.
Yeah. Uh, here's why. You're not super religious. You don't give a shit about religion. You know a little bit in your past that you are well traveled at best, right?
Mhm.
But that's not a name that you've seen out in your life. That's not a name that you recall from your mind or from places that you've been. That's a name that you recall written somewhere on a stone in this area and scratched off.
Oh. Um.
Think of like a cornerstone on a building with a date with a nat 20. I'll say that you remember seeing it on an outmost part of like a building and you can't really recall where.
You said with a date on it?
Mhm.
Do I know what date?
Mm-mm. It was like worn like sandstone,
Mhm.
like when it or like a gravestone when it totally wears all the way down and it's just like you can see the little bits of the letters but nothing else.
Okay. I mean, the name is familiar, but I've seen the name. I've seen the name here even, but I don't follow that goddess.
That's okay.
I got like, tentacles. That's weird. I'll stop talking now. I'm not even talking. Oh god. And it's at this moment that you realize that you can even just hear her thoughts.
Just keep projecting, you're like, shit, I should end this.
Yeah. She didn't hang up the call. She didn't hang up.
uh,
So, you see people begin to funnel in between. Some people cautiously look at one another being awakened from this haze. Umbriel, you see now Kit and Lova have returned to themselves um, and are there and present.
Um, guys, what's the game? So think we, I think we need to get the fuck out of here.
like out of this tent or out of this world?
Um, well, also, like right now, I think we need to get out of the fence.
Okay, well, I think that both options will work for that.
She's so funny.
Is the area around them being clear of people?
As people start to funnel in, you can see it's like any sort of exit like recess from a show. People start to kind of clear out. Some people don't
Mhm.
get in a line to stay, like they just leave out the back side of the tent. So just because you are broken of the trance, I will say that you can see that there were people here that attended the show to fill the stands, and that was their job. And you can quickly assess that those people were here to make it look full and then leaving.
Are there any other like automatons here?
Roll me a perception check now that you are uh, clear of your haze.
14.
14. You can see one rabbit-faced. You and Azzy call them GI Joes. He jokes about it, like little soldiers. They are not built like you. You know that they are given orders, but are not free thinking in the same way that you are. But you do see one rabbit automaton that is there. It is not very close to you. It is in the frontmost part where they are kind of conveyor belting people through. But that being said, it is kind of close enough proximity that if it were to be scanning for you for any particular reason, it could see you.
Mm-mm.
So once there is a bit of an opening next to them, I'm gonna use my Blessing of the Raven Queen, just kind of disappear into shadows and reappear like right next to them in the group again.
Okay.
And immediately my gaze is on Kit. And I'll say, what do you know of this? The lines, where they lead, what this fate is, what this choice is.
It's a choice. You can stay or you can go.
Much of a choice if you're not sure what the choices are.
Choices are staying and going. You can stay and you can work in the circus. Or you can go somewhere else. Wherever you want to go. Well, not wherever you want to go. Wherever you end up. That's kind of how it happens.
Where could we end up?
I don't know.
Oh, Kit, I will say, you can roll me an intelligence check with advantage to recall this piece of information.
Oh, we're so good at those. Oh my god. So without advantage, it would have been a 2, but with advantage, I did get a nat 20.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so with a nat 20 proper,
Yeah. Minus
okay,
1, so it's actually a 19, but
but still,
I
uh,
sure did roll it.
would have a moment where one of those voice recordings would click off for you of Azeroth just talking his shit, his just spitting out information and info dumping on you, and he's like, "Oh, well, Kit, like outside of the castle's really not safe for you, and if you decide to leave for any reason, God forbid, break this realm to the next circle, you would be dealing with all kinds of horrible dragons. It rains all the time, and it never stops blowing wind, and it's incredibly unpleasant. And it's dangerous, Kit. You should really stay home."
I think that would play out loud from her.
Okay.
Like, not super loud, but like it would play at like talking volume.
Huh?
I don't know if you can insight check a recording, but does this person seem genuine, or is this more like a? Because you know how like a parent would tell a child, like, "Oh, hey, don't do that. It's dangerous."
I'll
But it's
say
not
you can roll.
necessarily dangerous.
You
It's
can roll an
just
insight check. I will say I just rolled a die over here that I don't want to forget to bring up. So go ahead and you do your thing. And then
19.
a 19. He sounds like he cares. He sounds like a
Mm.
concerned friend, like a friend that maybe is a little bit of a bitch. You know what I mean? A friend that's like, oh, you don't know
Like,
what kind
you
of trouble you
can't
could get
handle it.
into.
Like,
Yeah, but
just stay right here.
Mazzy never thinks I can handle anything.
uh, so with that being said, the recording plays. Your little shadow work display was caught by the eyes of the ringleader. And while people are funneling into their little shells, while you make your quick little teleportation and the gaze is drawn over to that area, you see the swirls on his arm, this shadowy kind of maze like tattoo that wraps around his bestial hand. He goes like this, and he finger waggles you closer.
Oh God.
And you see the shadow kind of whip around the outside of his wrist and around his arm, and you feel this pull, and you are sucked back through the same, your own Raven's Queen blessing, the same exact feeling. Boom, standing right next to him. This one's my chosen.
Chosen.
Aerith, who is still kind of looking out over the crowd, currently seeing your guys' direction from where that recording played, looks at you, Kit, and makes eye contact. And she shakes her head no. Like, just this very subtle. And you see a look of disappointment as she negates her eyes from you and says nothing and looks over towards the cockpit, or pulpit rather, where people are sitting and playing music. And she says, you hear Dahlia in the back of your ear like a whisper. Would you do a task for me if I promised you the chance to do it all again?
Okay, do I recognize his voice just from
It is
hearing
the
her?
exact same voice from her doing her thaumaturgic kind of yell across the stadium. You do hear in the back of your mind this very subtle kind of whisper.
I'll look up at her. I think I'll choose to trust her. I'll say, sure, tell me what to do.
Her white hair kind of begins to fly off of her shoulder as she looks in your direction, and you hear, walk up on stage confidently.
I'll follow her orders.
Guess I'm going.
Yeah, you're chained to me.
Yep, you're chained to her. Yep. You begin to walk up the same stairs that you had watched Verena walk up. The lighting kind of pops open and is now guided towards you as you walk on stage. Manya, do you resist at all? Do you try and tug her back? You don't hear out loud any sort of anything. You just see your newfound friend that you're chained to begin to start walking up.
Oh, she didn't talk out loud? Okay.
Well, I'll look at you, and be like, let's go, and I'll like tug on the chain, but I'll like go to move.
She will follow slowly and be like, where are we going? Why are we going? What is happening?
Um, well, it's your leader up there. She requested my assistance.
What? Okay, God, whatever, fine. I'm staying quiet, obviously. Let's go.
You are begrudgingly kind of quietly drug onto the stage. To which,
RBF.
to which Verena looks at Aerith, looks down at Dahlia, looks at you, chained to her, and goes, "For expediency's sake, I'll take this one." Because
Referring
you
to
are.
me?
No, referring to Manya.
Fuck.
uh, Kit, would you roll me a dexterity saving throw?
Okay. Elf?
12?
Yeah.
That's a fail.
Yeah.
See, because you were looking, you see the automaton turn as soon as the voice of Azeroth plays. Shoots the little bunny mask directly in your direction. The ears kind of twitch and perk up as if they were living. You can kind of see them spread out, flop a little bit, and hone in on your direction. You are met with two gigantic robotic legs directly in your chest. Boom! As you are essentially kicked down and grappled.
Damn.
You can roll me a strength saving throw if you would like, as you are beginning to be drug up onto the stage.
15?
Thank you. And would you please roll me, or whatever you would like to roll as far as sanity goes, would you roll me a, let's just say that takes 2 off of your sanity point.
Okay.
Okay. As you are forcefully drug onto the stage, you hear playing from, you watch the little rabbit automaton's face kind of like turn in your direction. You know that these things are not thinking, feeling anything like that, but you hear like a little radio signal kind of pick up. Kate, I was really, really worried about you. I'm so glad to see that you're here. I'm sorry to be so forceful, but I didn't know how else to bring you in. You're so strong. And obviously you're going to be my chosen, right? That's okay with you?
Do I know what that means?
No.
Chosen for what?
I need your help, but you'll get to leave. I promise. Nothing's going to happen to you.
You promise?
I promise.
I think she would resign to it.
Okay. Drug up on stage. You are side by side with Verena. Do you want to say anything as she looks at you and says, "Hey, Bolt," and kind of elbows you in the side?
No.
Okay.
Have I assume I haven't been answered. Has it been a long time? Is it just like a...
I'm sorry, has what been a long time?
When he pulled me up, said I was his chosen, and I was like, chosen? He didn't respond. So has it been a long time, or is this all happening in like 3 seconds?
It's all happening in a quick series of events overlapping. You say chosen, and he just smirks. He says nothing. He's not giving any information. He's a secretive boy.
I still got daggers in my hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'm taking a step back.
Okay.
Not super threateningly, but I definitely still have I still have 2 daggers in my hand, and I know how to use them.
Okay.
Chosen what? I thought the choice was mine.
It is if you want to leave after.
After what?
Oh, You get to play a game of charades for me. I get to puppeteer you, you get to do what I want you to do, and then you get to come back to me and make the same decision you'd be making now as if none of that ever happened. And if you want, you don't have to even have recollection of it. We could do that service for you.
Nervous.
A service. Listen, painful memories don't go away cheap. Some people give their whole lives for that kind of thing.
Not in need of erasing any of my memories.
I will sweeten the deal for you. You guys can come up to the manor, you can have a dinner, we can discuss your futures, you can even. How about this? What would you give for a macrimum of your memory back? Don't you miss him? And you have a moment where you feel a pang in your chest. Roll me an intelligence check.
Will be. You said intelligence check?
Mm-hmm. Oh, my boy, I missed him.
9.
9.
9.
You can't place why that makes you sad. You just know that it does.
Dagger is up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing? Get out of my head.
We're more alike than you think, Marisol. Don't worry, this will be fun.
I think it's a bit of a standoff. She's not sure what to say or if she wants to stab.
You watch as people continue on the escalator down, people continue on the escalator out. Many folks kind of deciding on what they want to do and clamoring with the people that are around them. It seems like for some, it was a very quick and easy. And now, as the people kind of filter out of the tent, totally unaware of what's happening with you. Even though this is in the middle of everything that's going on, it seems like they are so self-absorbed with what's going on with themselves that they are not even paying attention to the bigger scene that's going on here. You can hear the rabbit automaton continuing on. Kid, I know you're not going to like this part, but you do have to come home first to go to the castle to have a dinner so that way mom and dad can explain to everybody what's going on and it's going to be fine. It'll just be quick, okay? And then you can do it. Then you just go on an adventure for me. And then you can come back and we can have a talk and really get to the bottom of things. It'll be fine.
You're not gonna hurt me?
No. Why? What? No. No. I might put you in a dangerous situation, but I'm not going to hurt you.
Am I a dangerous situation?
Sometimes, darling, but that's why you're beautiful.
I'm the most dangerous situation. And then I think she would stop talking to him and just like turn towards everybody ready to go.
I love her forever. In a moment's notice, you see Reshi holds his hand out to you, Marisol, and he looks at you squarely. He says, agree to it. It has to be an agreement. The shadow kind of arm wrapped, coalescing in these kind of dark, whispering grays. As you look at it, you can see there's a darker, almost like stained ink color to him that has a maze pattern that extends from the wrist all the way up to the shoulder. But it is forever undulating over top of it with this like gray misty swirl.
I mean, she's taking a while to decide. Like she's thinking about this real hard. So other things could be happening in the meantime.
Eric kind of is going to also cascade down from her perch, kind of floating on like nothingness, just slowly descending down until her feet find purchase onto the tent ground. And she, like, very motherly, takes off her rabbit shawl a little bit, not the whole thing, and kind of puts it around you and says, "We have some things to discuss." hmm she's going to lead you through what looks like a mirror that kind of appears, almost like a portally mirror in the center of the stage. Do you follow willfully?
Yeah, I'll follow her.
Like touching water a secondary time, you watch as your image gets closer to the mirror and you can see yourself as you walk in. You are your changeling self, kind of flipping through this cascade of mirror before coming through the other side.
Am I there?
Hmm?
Am I there?
Uh, yeah, you are following behind Jade. She is not even acknowledging you.
That's fine. I mean, that's fine. That's okay.
Yep.
Uh,
Verena is going to pick up rear and be strutting behind you, one leg in front of the other, the hips kind of moving in this mesmerizing motion. As she, as you like walk forward, you can see her leering behind you, looking you up and down.
Was my disguise dropped, or was it just the reflection that I
It
saw?
was just you seeing your own true self.
can I make a perception check to see if was able to look into the mirror or like investigation?
Disadvantage. You can make a perception check with disadvantage.
Okay.
The surface looks almost like, again, like a
It's
porcelain
a
water.
crit one.
You see nothing. You
Cool.
see nothing but Verena's sexy body.
Yep, I'm tempted.
She's a temptress, so it makes sense. Uh, Umbriel, from behind you, you hear the softest voice. You know, I think you're special. Would you like to be my chosen? Uh, Little tiny fingers interweave with yours. A wafy looking, almost like no thicker than a paper bag, very very thin. She is got these beautiful like shimmery opalescent kind of shadowy type scaly looking texture to her cheeks and these big beautiful eyes. As she stares at you, she blinks a bunch of times and you can see the familial resemblance. This looks almost exactly like a copy of Aerith, but skinnier, smaller, younger, um, still incredibly fresh. Probably in her teens. As she looks at you, she says, "I think you have something good inside of you." "I'm good with those things. I can just tell."
Um, what what person we talking about? Like, I'm not that special.
Maybe you just don't see it yet. I think she
I'm
looks around your face and kind of traces not your face with her hands, but just the outside area, like touching the energy around you. And she says, "I can see your cosmos, and you're lovely. You should come with me."
I don't know if that's such a good idea.
I'm sorry?
Like, not not that's such a good idea. And then she starts backing away slowly.
As you begin to back away, you kind of bump into Lova, who has somebody who has their hand on their shoulder. And he's like, "I like the strong one. She'll be my chosen." This
She's like,
incredibly handsome, devilishly handsome looking lad, messy, crazy hair, long and wild, lanky, but also lanky in height, but not in stature. Kind of like in between awkward teen years before he really bulks up, but you can tell he's gonna be a big boy.
Mhm.
He's he's hit puberty in his face, as in he has like a full stubble that's going on right now. But he is not quite there yet. He hasn't quite beefed up yet. Um, he's very choppy haired, alternative, grungy looking kind of guy. And he puts his hand on Lova's shoulder and he's like, "If you win this for me, I'll split the prize with you." And he pulls a really brutal looking, almost like orcish looking war axe out from his side. Um, and he's like, "And I'll even let you talk to her." And he and he looks down at his axe and he like and puts it back at his side. To which Lova's like, "This fucking weirdo," but begins to follow the strides behind him. And she looks over at you and she's like, "Looks better than hell to me."
No, so fair enough. I think we should. They would just stay here and stay with the wait. The mm, it's just doesn't sit with me. Leave. I don't think we won't be able to find it.
Uh, I think that the kind of awkward, gangly boy would continue forward with Lova and kind of like be pulling, not like pulling her because she's bigger than he is, but kind of like guiding her along. And I think that she is doing that thing where she's like looking back and still trying to have a conversation, but still continuing to walk and lumber forward. And it's like, well, I just, it just seems like a better deal to me to be at the top of the food chain.
What thoughts? Like, we don't know what they want in return.
At which point, I think that he would look back over and be like, "Essie, I don't think that your chosen wants to be chosen. You better find another one." Uh, and Essie is like, "No, this is my chosen, and I'm sticking with it." And she looks at you like with these big eyes. Purple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm, no, I think we made them
Maybe.
opalescent.
No, Cruz's
Oh,
character.
oops.
Um, and as
Sorry.
you are looking at her, you can see there's almost these like double flecks of yeah, of opal that kind of glean off of the surface.
Mhm.
Um, I need you to make me a wisdom saving throw with disadvantage. This is some sorcerer girl shit going on right now. Sorcerer girl shit. No.
Just like her mother.
13.
Hmm?
13.
13. You feel this pull over you, this friendship, this kind of connection. This is your buddy here, and they have your best interest in mind. And I mean, I wouldn't say you've known them long, but you can tell from this connection that they're a genuinely nice person. They just want you to do what's best for you.
Well, I guess being a chosen isn't that bad as an idea.
I
And
know you're gonna love it. This is gonna be so great. You can sleep in my room tonight if you want.
that, that can sound like fun. And it's like,
She
motivation
begins
to keep playing
to
forward.
very excitedly clap while you are walking with her, and she does this almost like two like double step as you guys go towards the portal
Mhm.
together. Meanwhile, Lova, I think I'm gonna roll for them and see if they caught on to the fact that you were just, oh yeah. Lova becomes instantly suspicious of this character. And you see them kind of like cut their eyes. They want to keep an eye on you. Like Lova
Mhm.
wants to keep an eye on you, so I think that she's glad that you're coming, but it is going to be one of those things where she's definitely a little more on edge about this circumstance. I think that we will take a quick break right here, bathroom break for everybody, grab refreshments and everything like that, and then we will reconvene in probably 5:10 if that works for everybody.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sweet. Picking up where we
Okay.
left off,
So
uh,
our Lova
characters walking
noticed.
through the portals, the mirror shaped portal that leads you directly into an absolutely lush, calm atmosphere. It smells like roses and a little bit like fresh cut kind of grass. There is an outdoor kind of Roman style sitting area that leads to an open pond. Big cattails are popping out from the reeds. There are the active calls of birdsong in here that kind of fill the air and the space. You can hear a fountain sprouting off from the side. You can see it looks like two little cherubic faces that are baby faces of some of the people that are accompanying you in here. Seems to have been crafted. It's twins that are facing and spitting water into this little pond area. Uh, there's this big kind of cypress tree that's hanging with. This would never happen in nature, but it's my fantasy, so I can do it in real life. Um, with like Spanish moss that's hanging off of it. It is
Ooh.
absolutely beautiful. It is serene, it is peaceful, and you see these big kind of white columns that open up to a grand staircase. I need Marisol to roll me an intelligence check with advantage.
Am I here? I didn't agree to go.
Uh oh, you didn't walk through yet.
I
Everybody else is walking through. You're still standing there with Reshi then.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Okay.
listen, you could go ahead with everyone else, come back to us.
Okay, yeah, we'll
Do
come
that.
back to you then. We'll
Do
come
that,
back
do
to you.
that, do that.
So you are currently standing in the center of this open space, and you hear Aerith kind of let out this sigh of relief as all of you kind of funnel in through this mirror space. On the side of Dahlia, she looks to you and removes the shawl from your shoulders and kind of drapes it back over herself. Um, and you see she looks down at your hand and hip where you currently are chained and snaps, and the chains just dissipate. They fall off of you. Uh, Manya, in this moment, as the chains fall off of Dahlia, you see the chains around you squeeze ever tighter for a second before falling off. Almost like it cinches into your waist real quick, like very snugly, and then
Mhm.
drops to the floor.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
well, now, let's make ourselves more comfortable, shall we? And as the chains drop, she begins to lead you through this garden space. You see there are big, smooth, almost slate stones that line this area with cobbled moss that comes up in between, kind of piecing along like little trails along the sides here. A series of little rabbits are off in the corner running around after one another. You can see there's a lot of wildlife in here that is just kind of living, it seems, comfortably in this like expanse. Inside, it's like an outside that is kept inside. Um, and she walks you over to this. The structure seems big for what it is inside of this space. It's like a little gazebo, but it's made out of stone. And as you enter in, there's a lot of seating areas here and a fire pit that currently has like a cauldron on the top of it um, that is bubbling with some sort of frothing liquid. It smells of lavender and thyme. And as you guys sit down, she gestures for everybody to be seated as you guys funnel in. we will jump quickly back to the circus tent where where Reshi and Marisol sit, kind of stuck here in this space.
I'm trying to remember the last thing that happened.
To
Said
stab or
something
not to
about
stab?
I know, but like I can't just stab unprovoked at this point.
I mean, you could.
Oh, he showed me the flash of someone who I don't necessarily recognize but makes me sad. So yeah, she took a step back, she raised her dagger. Don't do that again. Refrain from messing with my mind. Who are you?
Don't you know? I'm the king.
Stab him. I don't think he's genuine. He probably is. Like, Allie is the person recognizes that he's probably super genuine. But no, I stab. Would you like me to roll to hit or?
Yeah, you're gonna stab. Go
I'm
ahead,
gonna-
roll the hit.
I want to stab. Okay, cool. Hold on just a second. Would you consider this the first round of combat?
If you're going to continue to, if you think you will continue to aggress, then yes.
Cool. We'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I am not trying to do anything super fancy. That's a +9 to hit, 11 on the die, dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Dirty 20, you make contact. You hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
Cool. That's 6 points. Let's see, what happens on my first turn? Target takes an extra 1d8 of the weapon damage type. Oh, I have to take two attacks for that. I'll just take the 1 for now.
Okay. So, how much damage was it?
Uh, 6.
Beautiful. Describe what it looks like with your skillfulness, the way in which you put this blade through this dude. Because you're skilled.
It's skilled. It's almost like instinct, like a you know how like you've got like a prowling dog almost that you know is going to attack, but the second between not attack and attack isn't necessarily discernible before it happens. So she's definitely been kind of staring at this guy, figuring it out. She's drawn her daggers. She's clearly made it clear that she's not comfortable with whatever it is that he's doing, and she's asking for explanations, and he's not getting any. So it's just like the split, like he says the king, and she just kind of like almost has a noiseless snarl, steps forward and brings it in right here. It's not necessarily a fatal shot, but there would be no use of the arm, like no use of his shadow arm. If he was a normal person, I don't know how this affects this person, but so that there's no use of the arm, and she's all like close in there too, and she's like, if you enter my mind again, I will stab you again.
Okay. I will say roll me a strength saving throw. Let me get my Reshi dice. Hold up. They're different. They're different than the other ones. They have mushrooms on the inside.
16.
16. I don't
Not
know
great.
if that'll do it. Let's see.
It's not great.
Okay. So it's a fight here. The 16 is enough to keep you upright, but now he's got you. He sticks his right calf behind your legs and puts his shoulder,
My move.
pushes his shoulder that has the dagger in it towards you. So pushes it in further essentially and leans into it, kind of gritting. At this proximity, you can see as he smiles something that wasn't discernible from your range before. He has these enlarged canine fangs that kind of come out. Not vampiric, curled almost like a big cat. And as he leans in close to you, he says, he says, "Good luck getting me out of your mind, darling. Listen, you don't need to be so feisty, though I do like them a little wild." And he starts to slowly pull the blade out with your hand still on the dagger. He like wraps his hand around your hand, and begins to slowly pull it out himself until it's right about this level. He doesn't get the on top of you that he was looking for because he was looking to pounce. But he does get you in this kind of tango of a move where you guys are fighting arm in arm with one another. I think that you hear like it's very off-putting, because he is face to face with you, and you hear it almost like it's coming from behind your ear, like as if he had been standing behind you, leaning over you. You hear this. "I'm not messing with your memories, Marisol. You simply just don't have them. Don't you want them back? I can give you what you want."
Back out of this?
Hmm?
Can I like step back out of this?
Yeah. You weren't able, like, he wasn't able to get on top of you, so you do potentially have the movement to, like, spin out of it from where he's got you leaned over.
Cool. I'm gonna spin out of it. I'll leave him the dagger. I've got another dagger. I will draw the dagger.
Okay.
Um if you're the king, are you the one who brought me here? Have I been searching these endless forests because of you? And now you want me to be some sort of chosen champion? Who's to say there's anything to trust?
He will have removed the dagger in full now from his chest area. You see the wound begins to slowly stitch itself back together. As it does, it kind of piecemeal meets itself. Um, Underneath it, you can see there's almost like this black tendrily type riveting that happens, like that kind of slithers through and patches the skin. The shadow coalescing over top of it and healing it up. And he holds the blade firmly in his hand, extending the hilt back to you. So he's essentially holding the sharp end and giving you back your dagger. "I don't want to fight you. I want you to fight for me. You don't have much of another choice. So you have the choice to stay, you have the choice to leave, but you don't have a choice to fight. It was made for you. You can make this easy on all of us. Plus, you'll win. You know you will."
I think more than his words, the fact that his shadows are mending his body is probably what does it for her.
Hmm.
She takes the dagger back somewhat slowly. She's still looking at what once was a wound. Fine. You have my arrows. But you do not have my trust.
"I've never needed anyone's trust." "Excellent. Come with me." You see the attitude immediately changes from this kind of oppressive, kind of forceful, domineering energy to this witfully, playfully fun. "Everything's a game. Ha ha ha," as he kind of clicks his heels together and begins to walk. And he looks back before stepping all the way through the portal. You see half of his face is in this water type material that looks solid but somehow rippling. And you see as he just kind of lets the smirk creep out of the corner, he says, "Are you coming?"
And she takes one last look at this circus and just sheathes her daggers as she follows.
Excellent. The lost souls kind of ending this little bit of a scene here as they continue to go on these conveyor belts, some dropping to the lower depths of hell, while others are made like a meat mill out into the circus to be part of the numbers of the chaos in limbo. We make our way into a familiar, kind of comfortable space. This glade of serenity as you walk in through this portal. You can see the air is really lush and moist. It's kind of got this like dewy feeling to it as you walk through. It's very refreshing. It is a little almost boggy, but not in a bad way. Not where the temperature is hot. Just the overall humidity of it all feels almost jungle-esque. You make your way through this space with him kind of taking in the rear of this. Roll me that intelligence check with advantage.
Oh, never mind. I have advantage already. Okay. Intelligence. First roll 17. Second roll 6.
With a 17, it takes you a second to really familiarize yourself with the area and make sense of what you're seeing here. This is the exact layout of the grand courtyard inside of your castle from
What?
prior. This is the same type of grand opening staircase. Your space, though shadowy and kind of overgrown in a different way, much more pine tree-esque and forested, and not nearly the high grasses and jungle type feel of this. This is basically the same kind of courtyard. Statues in the same place, though they're different. These are statues of cherubic children and laughing faces and animals and things of the like. It's very natural here. Yours was very stone, very methodical, planned out. There's a series of open spaces and gathering spaces and an area for congregation and talk and discussion that's away from people. Where the gazebo would be, you had a planning room where there's so many similarities that it almost feels like you're remembering a false memory, like you're seeing something that's not quite right, like it's throwing off your perception of reality.
Where are we?
Oh, this is the glade I made my wife. Don't worry about it. And he continues to lead you through these little slate walkway pieces. You see a little frog kind of hop by from the piece of grass into the water with a bloop. As you gather with the rest of the chosen here, each person standing kind of close to the person that they have picked. You all center here above this little fire pit, and you see Aerith kind of walking into the scene. You see Aerith talking to everyone. So I really wanted to explain to you all exactly what's going on here. I have chosen you, and she looks directly at you, Dahlia, and she says, and all of you have been chosen, and gestures out to all of you, and says, to fulfill a specific task. All of you were curious. I know this because I felt it. About what is outside of here. You really want to weigh your options. None of you seemed particularly convinced. And she looks over at you, Kit, and makes direct eye contact and says, I can't promise that you'll enjoy what you see. But what I can promise you is that if you are terminated for any reason, you'll just return here as a failure, and that's fine. Most of you, all but one, will fail. So, meet your competitors. And you all look across at one another. Some of you who had made acquaintance prior, some of you who are new faces to one another. And at this moment, she looks over at Lova and she makes eye contact with the doughy boy, and she says, Ryu, no special tools. And Ryu's like, why? Everybody else gets to give their people advantages. What, I can't give a boon? And she says, not that boon, honey. And he looks down at his little axe thing that he was like fooling and fiddling around with. And he's like, okay. And he puts it back at his side, obviously scolded. So she looks at all of you again and says, we have a task for you. A bit of sport. And I understand this is your eternity. It's not fair for you to have to play for sport, so there will be a reward. All of you who compete, even if you lose, will be offered your opportunity to still pick your choice. If you want to stay, you may stay. If you want to leave, you may leave. But grant us this one opportunity to have a bit of fun and to learn a little bit about the outside, and you will be rewarded. She reaches behind her over one of the banisters of this gazebo type setting and pulls a long string of purple flowers off of one of these lavender type shoots that's coming up out of the ground and throws it directly into the flame. And the flame goes green and then goes pink and then goes yellow and opens up to a maze-like expanse. It shows a sky of thunderstorms and rain and sleet. And in the centermost part of a maze, you see a little glowing orb that kind of undulates over top of an item that sits on a pillow. It's kind of difficult to make out, but it looks no bigger than your palm, and it's kind of oblonged, like a strange, almost fluorescent style light bulb or something of the sort that sits on this pillow. Each one of us is in competition and thinks that we know a little bit better than the rest. So for a bit of sport for our playthings, and I forgive the notion of you stabbing my husband, she looks over at you as Reshi kind of makes like a little face. And Aerith looks down directly at the area, even without having been there, that you had stabbed on him, almost like knowing exactly what happened. So, I'll forgive any transgressions against us up until this point. But know that this task must be completed. You are pitted against one another, and this is going to be a game of chance. We do hope that the best suitor wins, and that you will make your way through this easily. Gather any intel that you may along your way, and retrieve the item. That is your only task. We'll get you there. We'll get you back. You see she, from the fire, reaches directly in and pulls out a bunch of little marbles, little tiny beads of glass that look like boba underneath her finger, but then as she drops them in your hand, you feel this heavy glass weight of a regular firm marble. Consume these if you've won, and if you die, well, you'd have no worries because you'll just come right back here. This we can promise you. Will you be up for the challenge? And she kind of smiles and makes eyes at you, Dahlia.
Yes.
Excellent. Reshi makes eyes with you, Marisol, and says, are you ready?
Suppose.
Ezzy leans over top of you, Umbriel, and says, I can't wait. This is going to be great. Roll me a perception check.
Oh, that was close. That is 21.
A 21.
Yep.
Damn.
Excellent. You don't even see her mouth move. You don't see any sort of hand gestures at all. You just feel this rush of a energy like a shot of espresso just hits you in your chest and you feel this bolt and boost behind you. You have been given a boon when we start this next leg of this. Start
Mm-hmm.
with a haste speed spell cast on you.
Ooh. Perfect.
Nobody else recognizes it. This bitch has subtle spell. She's awesome. Um, Ryu, even after being yelled at, tries to hand Lova this axe. I don't think that Lova takes it, as Aerith immediately makes eyes at Ryu and is like, Ryu, I said no. And he just goes, okay. And he drops it back down at his side again. Um, I will say I will message you guys each your individual boons as well. Once we get into it. Uh, I think for Azeroth, he is not present. You see that Kit is the only person that doesn't have their person immediately with them. They were drug kind of to the scene by the rabbit, but then immediately kind of seems like they gave up, slackened up, and are now here and just sitting there with no one behind them. Kit, you would hear in your own radio frequency. Uh, all right, so really the object of this, I'm pretty sure from like a standpoint is the best way to do it is just continue right every single time, and then if you continue right every single time, eventually you will find your way through this maze. But I don't want to give you like all the answers because you're a smart girl and I'm sure you'll figure it out.
I think Kit's just resigned and doesn't say anything.
Okay, perfect. He he takes the silence as that you're not entirely sure, so he just continues. And you don't have to be worried, you're going to be really great. Everything that you do is always pretty good. So, I mean, there's quirks that we are working out, but it's not a bad thing. It's just progress. That's scientific progress. You know, there's things that have to be worked out. And I mean, you're not a problem. You're wonderful. Some of the stuff you do is a problem. But it's not that again. That's not a bad thing. It's just something that we're working out, and it just continues. He just continues to go on, and I'll save everybody the continuous murmur. But he goes on for entirely too long.
I think the parts that stick out to her are pretty good and problem.
Oh,
Well, you're a pretty good problem.
you're a pretty good problem to have, I guess.
Mm.
So everybody kind of peers in on this little glowing fluorescent tube, and I think that we should probably wrap there and pick up there next time. So that was all for tonight's session. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will be doing another session again next Friday to keep ourselves on our streaming schedule. So please do join us for that because it's going to be a fun and exciting race to the end here. So thank you so much for being with us. Ta-ta for now.